Howdy, and welcome to the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Passenger Safety Project's Distracted Driving Program, funded through a grant from the Texas Department of Transportation. I'm your host, Mike Guidry, Program Coordinator for the Passenger Safety Project here out of College Station, Texas. This presentation includes very interesting facts and videos designed to change the minds on the dangers of distracted driving. So we sincerely hope that you enjoy it and get a lot out of it. Going in with the laws here, Texas was the 47th state out of 48 states that already have their own distracted driving laws. This went into effect on September the 1st of 2017. Texas House bill bans texting while driving. This law specifically says prohibits reading, writing, or sending electronic messages while driving. So in other words, anything that's going to take your eyes off the road, and it can come with some pretty hefty fines. Many Texas cities have their own localized distracted driving laws, which are even more strict than this. In Texas, we have 3 statewide laws which prohibit the use of cell phones. These can be found in school zones. You've all seen the signs. Under the age of 18, and during your GDL, which is your graduate driver's license, you are not allowed to have more than 1 passenger under the age of 21 unless they are a family member.
It's perfectly normal to want to look at your Facebook or other social media accounts. It's just not a good idea when you're sitting at the light while driving a car. You can't look at Facebook while you're driving.
Okay, but it's a red stop and I wasn't looking at it.
It's also a requirement that phones be attached to some sort of mount when driving. So you have a mount. Can you tell me life is easier?
Much easier.
Wow.
Just, you ain't got to look down at your phone and hold it in your hand and be up and down like this. It's right there. If you need to do something, you can kind of maybe do that.
So you're doing it right.
Yep.
But remember, if you have your phone mounted, it can't be directly in front of you. And there's only a minimum amount of contact you are permitted to do, even at a red light. I'm at the 5th Street off-ramp at Interstate 80 in San Francisco. And for just 30 minutes, I'm going to show you all the distracted drivers that came off that ramp. I'm still surprised that some people still have their phones firmly attached to their ears, like this driver and this driver.
Oh, you be on the news?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why you got your phone? Why'd you just get a mount for it?
The same reason why you recording me. So you might as well put me on the news and tell them what's up.
But most don't have the phone mounted. They are simply holding it in their hand while using it. Now you gotta get a mount for that now, right?
Huh?
Now you can't hold your phone anymore, right?
Yep.
You know that?
Yep.
Alright. This driver, well, he apparently could care less about the hands-free law.
Yes, sir.
Now you can't hold your phone, right?
Yeah. So?
You know that? Oh, so?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. So back to the phone he goes, shortly followed by the middle finger salute. Most of these drivers were so distracted, they never noticed I was there until I tapped on the window. And apparently, some forgot they were actually driving. Now you can't be on your phone while you're driving, right?
I'm not driving. I'm parked.
You're not parked, you're at a stoplight.
I mean, I'm at a stoplight. You're right.
All right. Anything other than driving is considered being distracted, which includes FaceTime, Facebook Live, and even snapping photos while at the wheel of the car. Although it's perfectly alright to yell at the car how much you love me.
Oh man, this is unbelievable. You made my day, Stanley. I love you.
The fine for the first offense, whether at a red light or in motion, is $162. The second offense jumps to $262, and the third more than $500. My advice, get a mount for your phone. It's cheaper than the fine, and safer. In San Francisco, Stanley Roberts, KRON 4 News.
Okay, so again, that was out of San Francisco. So not to be confused with Texas, their laws are even stricter than what we have here. And the fines are even heftier on top of that. One thing that I'd like to point out is the lady who was at the stoplight who said, "I'm not driving, I'm parked." Think about this for a moment. She was at a stoplight. She was so engaged with whatever was on that cellular device, she forgot she was driving. She forgot she was at a stoplight. She was so engaged that she thought she was parked when Stanley Roberts walked up to her, made contact, right? This happens all the time, all over cities, not just here in Texas, but throughout the United States as well. And we're going to go into this a little bit later when we start talking about the cognitive skills a little bit later on. So we'll refer back to this. Now, up on the screen here, you see a lot of other distractions. It's not just the cellular device we're talking about here, texting, Snapchatting, what have you. A lot of other distractions are out there as well. Now, of all these, which of these do you think causes the most crashes amongst teenagers due to distracted driving? The answer is this: talking and conversation. So the more teens in a vehicle, the more likely you're going to have distractions, the more likely you're going to have a crash because of that. Now, this next video, you're going to see one scenario involving just that. This next video, and I will narrate when it's complete, has GoPro cameras inside teenagers' vehicles. These GoPro cameras are looking at the driver's habits as well as outside the vehicle itself. Now, if you can imagine, if someone put a GoPro camera inside your vehicle and recorded every driving habit that you have, you're going to be the perfect driver for those first few weeks, maybe a month, but then you're going to go back to your original driving habits, which is exactly what happened during this video here.
To get my phone a long time ago. Oh! That was my phone.
All right. So you saw several pretty scary videos here, right? Let's go through a few of these. This was the first individual. Look where he's at. He's already drifting over. His eyes are straight down, focused on that phone clearly. Can you imagine? This is a nighttime, car coming toward him. He could have easily had a head-on collision, or could have been worse had he just gone off the road and had a crash, or hit some child or something on the side of the road there. And it happened really, really quick too. His eyes were not off the road that long. This next one, girl here, she's got a chapstick that's in her hand. So she was applying chapstick, doing makeup. She was also on her phone at the same time. Look at that car parked on the side of the road that she's about to hit. Look in the rearview mirror, that semi truck. You remember how she overcorrected, spun out, did a complete 360 and nearly hit that semi? She was very, very lucky. Pay attention to this one. Notice how when she went off the road, she overcorrected. She's going off on the other side of the road now, but look where her body is. Imagine if she didn't have her seatbelt on, she would be in the passenger seat. This is how effective seatbelts are. And though it still moved her that far over during the event of this crash, a lot of G-forces going on here. So be mindful of that. Always wear your seatbelt. This gentleman here had the exact same scenario as the previous two. Look where he's at. His eye, he has no idea because look where his eyes are. He's still on that cell phone, still looking down. Remember this guy here with that flip phone? Oh yeah, What happened here was he never noticed the car coming because the phone was obstructing his field of vision, and therefore the car hit him as he pulled out in front of it. This guy here, he just is about to notice the sign in front of him that he's about to hit. He was adjusting his radio, trying to find that station. Maybe he was looking for Ace of Base. I saw the sign because he hit it, right? And finally, we have these two young ladies here. Remember we talked about the GDL earlier. One teen in the vehicle. This is the reason why. More teens in the vehicle, more likely you're going to have a crash because of the distractions. They were not on their cell phone, but they were talking. Her eyes were off the road. She was looking at her passenger waiting for a response. The roads were slick, and they ran into the back of this vehicle here. These eyes were off the road for only a couple of seconds, and that was it, as we saw. Now, think about this. On average, it takes you 5 seconds just to read a text message. That's not responding to it. That's just looking at it. During those 5 seconds, if you're traveling at the speed of 55 miles per hour, you traveled the length of a football field. So essentially, that's like driving the length of a football field blindfolded.
How many letters?
5 letters.
Just think about, what am I doing right now?
Smile. Smile?
Uh-huh.
This is so easy.
Her eyes were off the road no more than 2 seconds right there. She totally missed the stop sign. Now we're going to go into the reason why she missed that stop sign, why the lady at the traffic light earlier forgot she was driving. You need these 3 skills in order to drive a car. Eyes on the road, your hands on the wheel, your foot operation, as well as your brain activity, your cognitive skills. Now, back when I was first learning to drive, had my cassette player. Later on, got our CD player. So the biggest distraction that I had was that CD or that cassette falling between the seats. But otherwise, I was able to focus 100% of my focus on the road ahead. Now, when you choose to pull out that cellular device, you take away 37% of your brain activity. Let's break that down. Pretend this is your vehicle. You're looking through the windshield of your car. Put your fist out in front of you. Now, the circle that fist makes, your fist, is all you're able to 100% see in front of you when you choose to use your cellular device. So in other words, it's going to look like this. Remember the video we just saw with the 3 teens in it? The girl was on her phone for no more than 2 seconds, and this is all she could see in front of her with those cognitive skills. She didn't see the stop sign because it was out of that tunnel vision, if you will. All that situational awareness around her, her surroundings were gone. Think about this. When was the last time you've been down a narrow 2-lane highway where the speed limit is 70, 75 miles per hour? You get behind somebody that's doing 45 miles per hour. If you're ever able to safely pass them, take a look and see what their driving habits are. So I guarantee you, they're either doing the head bopping thing like we saw in that first video with texting, or they have that phone firmly attached to their ear talking away. And this also includes the Bluetooth. Yes, hands-free is also in the same category because, again, you're having to use those cognitive skills. It's being taken away because you're on that phone. And again, there's that small window there. We also call this inattention blindness. First to looking but not seeing, where you're missing about 50% of the things you should be seeing around you, but you're missing them. Case in point, the stop sign we just saw. Vision is going to be the most important sense for safe driving. Now, this next video we're going to watch is interactive, meaning you're going to need to participate. You're going to do some counting. It's going to use up some of your cognitive skills. When we're done with this, this is further going to put this all into perspective for you. So here we go.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball. The correct answer is 16 passes. Did you spot the gorilla? For people who haven't seen or heard about a video like this before, about half missed the gorilla. If you knew about the gorilla, you probably saw it. But did you notice the curtain changing color or the player on the black team leaving the game? Let's rewind and watch it again. Here comes the gorilla, and there goes a player, and the curtain is changing from red to gold.
Okay, so just now, 37% of your brain activity was taken away because you were so focused on the players wearing white passing the ball. Therefore, a lot of you missed the gorilla walking right out in front of you. You didn't see the girl dressed in black going off the side stage. You didn't notice the curtain changing color either. This is exactly what happens while you're driving. You're so focused on the cellular device, as well as you're driving ahead. You have that small window the size of your fist. Therefore, you miss about 50% of the things you should be seeing. Now, how do we combat this? Well, thanks to our good friend Marcy Corey, she has developed this app called Safe to Save. Many of you probably already have this app downloaded to your own phone. It is free, so please do download it, and here's why. For every minute of safe driving, you earn 2 points. But once you choose to answer that phone call or you do a text message, Snapchat, what have you, the phone's going to know through the app and it's going to stop adding those points. Now, in the end, what do you use these points for? Well, as you can clearly see on the screen here, lots of nice little incentives, coupons, free meals. There's a lot to it. It's going to depend on your area where you live at. Some of you, your towns may not have Safe to Save in it yet, but if you would, download the app, and then you're able to get in contact with Marcy's team, and they can see about getting Safe to Save participations in your area.
So I just confess that I text and drive.
If I get a text, I'll look at my phone.
It's definitely texting.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Snapchat?
I do Snapchat and drive sometimes.
Is that like making Snapchats or watching them?
Making them.
A, texting is like my main form of communication.
Boredom, honestly.
And B, well, nah, I guess no, it's really just A.
I've only never done it at stoplights. I've always been really good about it.
The passenger has a pretty important role driving now, where they're like, oh, red light, red light.
If someone that you like texts you, you can't just let it sit there without just knowing what they said.
Because what if something exciting's happening or something happened?
Like, every time I do it, I think about it, I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I just keep doing it.
So I'd like to, want to introduce you to a friend of ours.
My name is JC.
Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Dash.
Justin, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I just really quickly want to have a chat, tell you what happened to me. When I was 21 years old, driving home from my college graduation ceremony, driver on his phone was so distracted, he turned left into the intersection at a red light, another car, an 18-wheeler, swerved to miss him and hit my family's car. And the resulting collision actually killed both of my parents. I spent 2 months in the hospital fighting for my own life, and then 2 more months in a rehab hospital, learning how to walk again, learning how to speak again, learning how to dress myself and how to feed myself. I live with a partially paralyzed body. I didn't have my daddy to walk me down the aisle when I got married.
Having sort of like met JC, because you look at JC and sort of give those same reasons.
Usually I use my phone to change a song on. I try to use it as little as possible, but
I'm not gonna look at my phone ever again. Honestly, if I have been sitting at a red light, and I'll like glance down to see if my mom's texting me, but the people's lives that are impacted from something that is so stupid.
I can assure you on my drive home right now, I'm not going to use my phone and drive, and I'm not going to do it when I go to work tomorrow and the next day after that until, you know, it becomes a habit, and that just doesn't happen at all.
I know this is hard. I'm sorry. It's hard for me too, but you know this is real. You know, the power to really actually make a difference and do something about it.
Thank you.
And remember, these are real people here. Remember, these teens were bragging about texting and driving, using their passenger to warn the driver of whatever's going on around them, Snapchatting, making Snapchats. After they talk with JC, do you think they'll ever even think of using that phone ever again while they're driving? I highly doubt it. The majority of them, at least. I know I wouldn't. You can imagine if you had JC one-on-one with you, talking to you like this. Yeah, I mean, that would be forever etched in your memory, that conversation. Every time you picked up that phone, including whoever's driving chose to pick up that phone, guarantee you would probably say something. Very, very powerful video, and it's real, so keep that in mind next time you decide to make that choice while you're driving. But none of this that we've been talking about is fully effective unless you're wearing your seatbelt, of course. Remember what we saw earlier with the teens, with the GoPro camera filming them? Remember the young lady who was all the way over near the center of the car, almost into the passenger seat? You can imagine, had she not been wearing that seatbelt, you know, she may have not survived that or came out with some very serious injuries, possibly a rollover. So it's very important that we all wear our seatbelts.
It doesn't matter what you drive. You're not above the law. Drivers and passengers. Click it or ticket.
Right, so we've seen them, you know that guy, you know that girl that drives a truck like that, right? They're out there. Trucks are higher off the ground than a normal car is. Therefore, they're going to roll easier than a car will. And they're going to roll for a longer distance on top of that. Remember, they're heavier on top, they're top heavy, higher center of gravity. Therefore, when they roll, they're going to roll for a while. And if you're not wearing your seatbelt, you're going to have a bad day. These two gentlemen here, buddies, Ethan of age 17, Trey of age 14, again, teenagers. They're on their way to a livestock show up in Bell County back in February of 2009. Now take a look at those photos below. That's what's left of their Ford F-250 3/4 ton diesel. Here's their story more recently.
It was pitch black.
The last thing I remember is him saying, "Oh man, oh man."
A loud pop happened, and I wasn't sure if it was a tire or what it was, but we jumped over a culvert and then hit a rock wall and flipped one time. I remember Trey just laying there limp.
Kind of woke back up, and then all I remember is seeing that wall.
My first instinct was find a way out.
Got to the hospital, and I remember people coming up to me saying, "Man, you're lucky. You can look at the truck and it is just twisted."
It can mess with you. The thoughts of what could have happened if we weren't wearing seatbelts. It's definitely an eye-opener.
And that is the only reason we are here. I get chills saying that. We would not be alive.
Okay, now imagine had the two of them had items inside their vehicle. A lot of us have our water bottles, of course. We're always going to have that cell phone with us. Well, during a rollover crash, whether it's a truck or a car, whatever it is, these things are not going to stay put. They're going to bounce around inside that vehicle. It's going to be like bullets. And if it hits you just right, you could have some catastrophic injuries, possibly even a fatal accident or crash. Think about this also. You have that child that's in that child safety restraint, buckled in like they should be. You choose not to buckle up. You can imagine your body weight is going to increase significantly during a rollover crash. And that body-to-body contact, that elbow hitting that child, you're going to have multiple fatalities in that one vehicle. So again, buckle up for everyone inside your vehicle, not just yourself, and tell others that don't choose not to buckle up of what could happen.
On October 28th, we responded to a motor vehicle accident. As we were responding, we realized that it was going to be a pretty bad accident just from the information the dispatch center was giving us. We arrived on scene and it was bad. Pulling up in the truck, we were the first ones there, just kind of looking out and saying it was eerily dark. There was a lot of panic on the scene. There was a vehicle had obviously flipped. We approached the victims, we're checking the victims. Then I realized that I knew the victim.
We saw a car flipped upside down. It was dark and it was a black car, which is what she had. At that moment, we knew it wasn't a minor accident.
I knew that we would probably start having a lot of the family arrive very soon. So I kind of mentally prepared myself for some very tough conversations. You know, it's one of the worst feelings I've ever had as I see David running up to the scene. Of course, I know David. I know what has happened in this scene. I know David doesn't know what has just happened on the scene.
The fireman that was on the scene broke the news to me that she had died. And I just collapsed and started screaming, and I kind of blacked out for a minute and couldn't understand or grasp that it was real and didn't want to believe it.
It wasn't until later that we were told that Kaylee wasn't the driver. She was in the car with 3 other teenagers. But Kaylee was the only one that wasn't wearing her seatbelt.
When they told us that she didn't have her seatbelt on, we knew that if she had her seatbelt on, she would still be here today.
The crew is responding to a motor vehicle accident right now, and I've responded to thousands of motor vehicle accidents over the last 21 years. It's very simple, very easy. Seatbelts save lives. They save lives every day, all day long. I have made very few fatality accidents where we've had to cut a seatbelt off of somebody that is dead. It just doesn't happen. We make fatality accidents when people do not wear their seatbelts. You never know how a family is going to react to losing a child. I can't imagine. It's probably my worst fear. But we've all seen what David and Wendy and Logan, how they've responded and what they have done in remembrance of Kaylee is amazing. And I can't help but think of the thousands of kids and people in general that have been impacted and the number of lives that have been saved because of what David and Wendy do on a daily basis.
She touched a lot of people's lives. She was a leader. Everybody loved to be around her. The type of person that would just light up your day. And her death has really opened a lot of people's eyes of how important it is to buckle your seatbelt. So we're going to continue to spread the message of the importance on wearing seatbelts. And, you know, if it just saves one life, then it's worth it.
Buckle up for Kaylee.
So again, this is the last photo, the last selfie taken just prior to us losing Kaylee forever. Her seatbelt is off in this photo. Took it off just to take this one simple selfie. Was it worth it? Absolutely not. We go back to the GDL, the graduate driver's license. Had they been following the rules of the GDL, the laws, this probably would not have happened. Now, what David and Wendy do is they travel all over the state of Texas sharing her story. This trailer, which was brought in as part of Texas Department of Transportation's marketing companies, as well as, of course, the Kaylee Mills Family Foundation, we actually have this and can go travel throughout the state of Texas with this, and hopefully, if David is able to, join us and share the story as well. Powerful imagery inside the vehicle. As you can see, the only one that's not a simply white dummy, if you will, is Kaylee in the back seat. Cell phone unbuckled just before her tragedy. Very, very powerful piece here to, again, reinforce why we need to buckle up out there. Since we're doing this through a PowerPoint, we're not able to come to your location, but next time we do come down to your location, we have some other reinforcing tools from State Farm distracted driving simulators. Now, each of these simulators has a different purpose to them, but in the end, wear your seatbelt and stay off the phone. Our first one is City Car Driver, where you're using your own cell phone to text and drive, do selfies, have fun with it. But once you take your eyes off the road, usually you're going to crash and crash pretty quick. The second piece we have is our virtual reality goggles. You have a complete 360-degree field of vision. And you can see actually one of the videos that we show on YouTube, 360 It Can Wait driving simulation from AT&T. And finally, our last one and most recent one that we just developed, using a virtual cell phone through the world of Oculus Rift. You actually have a passenger also who is talking to you, pulling the phone out, you look over at it, and it's a video. Pretty quickly, you're having a crash on this one as well. We also have a speeding simulation with this, in which it shows you just why you don't want to drive and follow too closely behind another vehicle at a high rate of speed. We are on Facebook. You can see more of these simulators on our Facebook page. You can see them in action through video, as well as the other programs that we do with the Passenger Safety Project. We do ask that you please do like us, share, comment, put the word out there that, again, this is a free program we offer, from elementary schools all the way up to senior citizens, even military bases for the transitioning military members coming back from overseas deployment. So again, free program, and please do contact us, and we'll be sure to come out to your location. Just a quick review of what we talked about. We saw this tragedy of JC. We saw the tragedy of Kaylee Mills. That 37% of your brain activity taken away. You're only seeing that small window the size of a fist in front of you. Remember the videos we saw. It's just a couple of seconds. It's all it took for teens to be off the road, to miss the stop sign, miss that darn gorilla that's about to walk out in front of you. All these items you're going to miss. And it could be a family of 4, and you're about to end their life. Not just you, but look out for the other person as well out there. If you can identify the distracted driver, it's best to stay away from them, call law enforcement, let them know what's going on. This is the passenger safety team. Again, we're out of College Station, Texas. Bev Kellner, our program manager. She's available pretty much 24/7. Should be more than happy to answer any questions you have. If you'd like to schedule out your school, your business, social event, whatever it may be, contact Rosalinda Malez, or you can contact myself, Mike Guidry. We'll be, again, more than happy to come out, talk with you, and bring some of these very amazing tools in this war against distracted driving and seatbelt safety awareness. Again, we thank you so much for your time, for watching this. Please do share it on your Facebook page, and hope to see you out there soon.